Memorial Day, of course, is right around the corner, so we have a special tribute to the men and women who have sacrificed so much. Since 2000, more than 290,000 active duty service members and veterans have been found to have traumatic brain injuries. When these wounded warriors come home, a new kind of commitment begins as they heal and, in many cases, relearn basic skills so many of us take for granted. Sergeant First Class Cory Remsburg and his parents know that all too well. Here's Cory's story.
Cory came to me in high school and says, "Hey, Dad, I want to join the military." And 18th birthday comes rolling around, and he joined up that day. Cory, first deployment was in 2003 with the invasion into Iraq. So on October 1st, 2009, I got a cell phone call. Cory's company commander identified himself and said, "Cory's been hurt." Cory and another squad leader were tasked to secure a landing zone for the helicopters to come in to take all the Rangers back to the base. And unfortunately, the enemy had planted a IED in the path, and Cory took the brunt of the blow from the right, blew him in the canal, penetrating head wound, penetrating eye wound, burn, shrapnel, and that he was being medevaced to the first aid station, which was in Kandahar.
They honestly did not expect him to live. I came to terms with it by preparing for the worst, praying for the best, and celebrating each achievement, no matter how small.
Let's go.
This overall road to recovery, it's been long and it's been hard, but he has been a trooper. He's never wanted to give up.
Whoa.
Part of that drive and determination means that Mom and Dad one day will take a step back again. And that's a big deal. And you know, he wants to be on his own. So would you go back?
In a heartbeat.
Please welcome a true American hero, Sergeant First Class Cory Remsburg, and his parents, Craig and Annie. Nice. Little standing O, Cory. Pretty nice, right? Well, I'm so... Thank you for being here. Ever since I saw you at the State of the Union, I was really excited at the opportunity to meet all of you, and Cory, especially you, to thank you for your service.
My pleasure.
And your sacrifice. And what do you remember from that day that you were injured?
That's not seconds before I was walking down the dirt path. The next thing I'm in Tampa.
In an instant, really, boom, like that. And as your dad, Craig, said, you took the brunt of the explosion, and it must have been, I don't even think that there are words to describe what it was like to see your son for the first time after this had happened to him.
So the Army was giving us updates a couple times a day. On day 3, the Army called and says, "You need to fly to Germany." And the family flew over to Germany on day 5, and yeah, we went to the ICU at Landstuhl, Germany, and Cory was in a coma, and bandages everywhere, and he looked very swollen, and so he was larger in life then as he is today.
And tell me the extent of his injuries, Craig.
So the initial comments by the soldiers were that he was found underwater. The blast blew him into a canal, and that's where they found him, not breathing, penetrating head wound. His eye had been penetrated, burns on the right side, collapsed lungs. And it took several minutes for them to find him. And once they started, the process began for triage. And they actually put him in the crater that the bomb was detonated. And they felt that that was a safe place for him to be, so the medics can work on him.
And I know that the military has really improved the so-called golden hour, because I covered the Pentagon and I went to Iraq and Afghanistan and interviewed Secretary Gates, the Secretary of Defense at the time, and that must have helped a great deal because they must have been immediately able to get to Cory, tend to him, and to fly him out of there, right?
That is correct. There was medics on the mission, and for this particular mission, there was a physician's assistant that was also a ranger. And he immediately did some life-saving skills, medevac to the closest treatment facility, which was in Kandahar, and he got there within that hour.
Wow.
And they were waiting for him.
Which was so important.
Absolutely.
By the way, Army Ranger, you're a badass.
Oh, stop.
Oh, stop. You are. I mean, Army Rangers. Annie, meanwhile, I know that you live in Arizona, you and Craig, and Cory, for, I guess, quite a while, was in rehab in Florida. So you actually moved from Arizona to be in Florida so you could be with him.
I did. Cory, it came to terms where there was a family member with Cory at all times. We were actually rotating out every 2 weeks, and you come to terms with that, and that not everyone can just leave their jobs and be there. But we had great family support, and it came down to the question of who would be there for him, and I opted to take on that job, if you will. He needed to keep working.
Yeah.
So I gave up my job and I went down to Florida and I stayed at the Fisher House, which is phenomenal. And then after a year, Homes for Heroes actually rented an apartment not far from the VA so that Cory and I could live there and I could transport him back and forth for his therapies, do therapies with him at home.
That's wonderful. And I know that now you do rehab in Arizona. You spend 4 to 6 hours a day in rehab.
Correct.
What is harder, being in combat or being in rehab?
Completely different,
Yeah, but rehab is pretty challenging, can it be, Cory?
but rewarding.
Rewarding. And I know, Craig, you know, we heard Annie say, and made me tear up about just celebrating small accomplishments. What are some of the things that Cory's been able to do since he's been in rehab that you all celebrate on a regular basis?
So we started a blog on caringbridge.com, and every day we would update about what happened that day. And he had thousands of followers. And it was simple things as moving his hand for the first time, opening an eye, tracking us around the bed, to now it's, okay, he's taking steps on his own. He can social media like no one else.
Yeah, really?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm gonna have to start following you on Twitter.
He does have a Twitter account.
And I know for your 31st birthday, you went skydiving. So good for you. Was that fun, Cory? Did you have fun? Look at you. Look at that. That's amazing.
That was before the...
That was
Oh, that was
Yeah.
before. Oh, I was going to say, look at
Yeah.
you. So you went skydiving a
Yes.
second time, obviously. Or no, you've been skydiving a lot.
while.
You're an Army
100.
Ranger. You jump out of planes all the time. But to be able to do it now must have been so exciting and gratifying.
It was very rewarding to jump for the tee-off for troops event.
It was a Tee Off for Troops event, so it was a charity that he's helped support.
Well, good for you.